Tornado alerts are becoming more and more synonymous with summer here in Quebec. It's hot, it's humid, it's the perfect storm. Researchers say Canada's tornado alley, which used to be centered on the prairies, is shifting east. So what does that mean for Quebec? Larger tornadoes are still rare, but weaker ones, like the one that hit Rigaud in May, are becoming more and more frequent.
And it does follow a trend that's been observed in the US in a couple studies that show that the traditional tornado alley in the plains is starting to lose a bit of their tornado activity, and the tornado activity in the east is starting to increase, which is kind of a problem. Same in Canada. There's more population in the east, and so you get more people being affected.
A short primer on tornadoes. They're actually rated on the Enhanced Fujita scale, or the EF scale, and they range from EF0 to EF5. The more damage that the storm does, that's the higher rating, and that comes with higher winds. Now, about 3/4 of the 161 tornadoes that have hit Quebec since 2017, they rate either an EF0 or an EF1.
I think the general feeling in Quebec is, yeah, we get tornadoes, but not the big ones and not as much as anywhere else. But I think that attitude might be changing now. Now that we've uncovered a lot of tornadoes that are occurring in the forested areas north of the Montreal, Quebec City corridor there. And I think there's a lot more awareness by forecasters now that, yes, we do get tornadoes here quite a bit, that it may be increasing, and we have to take this maybe more seriously.
Tornadoes can be tricky to predict. Take a hurricane or a snowstorm even, and forecasters, they can usually see those forming days in advance. But if a tornado is about to touch down, people generally only get a few minutes warning.
I will not see the day where we will be able to say the tornado is going to strike this street at this time and is going to stop at this street at that time. There will always be some uncertainty, and there are always events that are going to develop last minute.
But what's the difference between a tornado watch versus a warning? A tornado watch means there's a good chance a tornado will form in a certain area. That's the time to prepare and make sure any potential projectiles outside are fastened down. A tornado warning means a tornado is happening or about to happen, and people in that region should take cover indoors immediately.
We can forecast whether the conditions are ripe for a tornado a day or two in advance, but the actual tornado, we will never be able to forecast more than minutes. For the foreseeable future, there's going to be a considerable amount of false alarms, and we should learn not to get blasé by false alarms. Nevertheless, take at least the preparations, recognizing that if something comes your way, typically you'll see it or you'll hear it very soon, but then you have only a minute or two to do something.
Chantal Germain and Jacques Junot said they didn't get a warning before a tornado hit their community in the Laurentians 2 years ago. They were sitting outside on their patio in St. Adolphe de Howard when everything went eerily quiet.
We start to hear the large pine that we have, they're all cracking and then breaking in the middle, and it went rapidly, very rapidly at that point, and then we could see everything falling.
Luckily, they were uninjured and their home was spared, but multiple homes in the area were destroyed. Trees were ripped out of the ground and roads were blocked by fallen debris. It was a wake-up call.
How well prepared do you think that municipalities are in kind of dealing with this reality?
None whatsoever, especially when you're dealing with smaller community that are outside of the greater Montreal region. They don't have the budget, they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the people.
They think communities need to take the threat of tornadoes in Quebec seriously and have a plan. But emergency preparedness around tornadoes in Quebec isn't very well developed, and it's actually up to each municipality to come up with a plan. So what happens in Quebec if there is a warning? Although the number of deaths and serious injuries from tornadoes in Canada is low, flying debris is a serious risk. If a tornado is imminent, you should try to put as many walls between yourself and the tornado as possible. If it isn't possible to go to a basement, find an interior room. And if you're outside, you should try to find shelter. If you're in a car, don't go to an underpass. The best thing you can do is to get out of the car and try to find a low-lying ditch. As with any emergency, being prepared is crucial. So if you do get a warning, make sure you take it seriously.